Today's episode is brought to you by Bay Area company Millennium Edge Apparel, an athletic apparel company that manufactures clothing for basketball, golf, soccer, regular workouts, and even restaurant staff members. To learn more, visit millenniumedgeapparel.com. And now, back to the show. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, heroes and villains. I'm your host, Deshaun Fauntleroy. I know your time is precious, so we're going to get right into today's show. If you're listening right now, we're about to discuss respect the process. And we're looking at this from our perspective of working with athletes. So we're going to be talking about strength training in terms of respecting the process, parents' involvement, sports parents, and 7-on-7 football. And just to really get into this right now, and this is where Leland and I differ, but this has nothing to do with you, Lee. This actually comes out of a conversation that I had with a gentleman about a week ago, where he has a master's degree in exercise science, certified strength and conditioning specialist, presenter for NSCA, host clinics, things like that. And I would consider him a colleague because we get together and we talk, probably once or twice a month, where he respects my work. I definitely respect his work. But we were having a conversation the other day and it led to Olympic lifting. He was like, CD, I don't teach Olympic lifting. It takes up too much time. I just can't spend an hour on Olympic lifting and focusing on that when we could be working on, other activities to achieve the same result in terms of power or strength development. And from my perspective, that's fine. He's right. But one of the things that separates me from other coaches is I teach the Olympic lifting, and the things we do as far as what I might put out on Facebook or Instagram is really just what you see. Because even when I have a kid working with just a mild barbell, we're still going through our training sequence where we're going to have a multi-joint movement, then an unloaded jump, then we're going to do a weighted jump. And then with the older kids, they'll do an accelerated jump. So it's not like if I'm spending time with an athlete, they might work on one or two movements for that multi-joint movement, but we're still doing other things to increase their strength. And I want to say that in a sense that when you want to teach something, when you want to learn about something, it's not that hard. I think certain things in life, they get misperceptions. And in some people, they just don't want to take the time to do it.
I think where he's coming across though, I think what he's saying is more than one way to skin a cat.
And that's exactly what I'm saying too. Because Lee, our sequencing is based on Cal Dietz's material, triphasic training. I integrate what we do from a strength standpoint with Westside Barbell. I'm a big ass fan of Mike Boyle. I got a couple of his books in here right now. And I know you go hard on Mike Boyle's stuff. And not that we ever talk about the differences, because there is no difference. At the end of the day, if you teach what you're going to teach, it's like you said, you can achieve those same results. But at the end of the day.
And Mike Boyle says that too. Mike Boyle says that all the time.
And more coaches should think like that. It's not this philosophy. It's not this methodology. It's not this style. I'm not the best. I can learn from everybody. And I do learn from everybody. So really learning to do research, learning to research different methodologies. Go ahead.
Like Mike says though, this is a simple way of dealing with that issue. He said instead of spending time looking at the differences in what we do, let's spend some time looking at the commonalities.
I agree, and that's where I was going. And then here's the deeper thing. And this is for people that take that you want to beat on your chest approach. Look at what Leland is discussing. Let's find the commonalities and then practice those commonalities. Be a practitioner. Get a real subjective experience of something before you say, oh, this doesn't work. I don't like it. This won't help me. This won't help my kids. Really do it.
Yep.
Practice in the field that you're working in.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's take this as an example. I remember at one time I had Jazz come to you doing some barbell work.
That's right.
And I specifically told you, I said, okay, he can do whatever you doing, but no overhead lifts.
Right.
At the time, you was like, well, why? I'm like, nah, we're not going to do that right now because there's some things I want to check out first before we move further in that. Now, look, years later, that was probably the smartest thing to do because he ended up having a torn labrum. By talking to one of my partners who played in the NFL, you know, some of the worst things you can do is hanging exercises, lifting heavy weights over your head, all that kind of stuff. And the thing that would help that particular situation progress would be more like bands, aquatic work, stuff like that. And he said himself that once I started that process, that slow, tedious process, he's like, if I would have did that back then, I probably would have played in the NFL for 2 more years. You know what I'm saying? So it's with me, it's just finding the right place for it. Because I'm not going to sit up and say I don't use any Olympic lifting methods and bringing my kids along. I use some. It's just it's not probably a main part of my diet. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
With guys that say that there's no place for it, I don't understand that. I really don't.
I really don't, you know, and the thing I like what you're talking about because, you know, it's kind of like an honor because I know you're a strength coach, you know, you do everything basketball, everything football, strength training, resistance training, whatever it is. But as far as I know on record, I've been the only one that you've trusted to train your son on a continuous basis. So
my son, my nephews, any athletes I'm dealing with. I mean, I don't just turn my kids over to anybody.
You know, because one of the knocks on you for a long time is, man, he needs to take his hands off jazz. He needs to take his hands off jazz. But like where we're going, that was part of the process to let him work with somebody else that had a similar message that you could trust.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, I learned from a guy named Stanley Kelbeck years ago because I used to get all of his literature and his audio books and when I started training jazz, he said something that stuck with me for a long time. And he said, you can't have your athlete under the jurisdictions of several trainers. It sends mixed messages and it wastes a lot of time. Try to get him in a situation where the person that you're dealing with is open to other possibilities of getting the job done, who's not narrow-minded in the way he's thinking. If you get that, then that handles probably 60 to 70% of the problems that you're going to be dealing with down the road. Just finding someone that's trustworthy, finding someone that's the one thing I had over a lot of trainers is I was in the gym all the time. And I heard a friend say a long time ago, Richard Bonton, and I listened to that. He says, one little thing where you got everybody beat, Leland. I said, where? He said, they don't spend as much time with you as you do in the gym. You treat this like you love it. I said, I do love it. He said, well, that's what they got. That's what you got everybody beat. You know what I'm saying? And that was true. You know, some guys don't, they say they like doing this, but they don't really like doing this. They don't like going through the process. You know, some trainers try to speed it up, trying to get quick results. There is no quick results in this.
Right.
You know?
And then the other thing, you know, that I want to say is that if you're listening to this, you do have to slow things down. That's part of respecting the process. But more importantly, like Leland was just saying, that, you know, if you're a strength coach, you're a personal trainer, and you're teaching certain movements or methodologies to your clients that you've read, you should be practicing that.
Right.
So again, be willing to open your mind to other methods. Now, I want to transition into, because, you know, some coaches, they want to get there before they want to put the work in. Some athletes want a Division I scholarship before they put the work in. Some athletes are crying throughout the month of February that haven't put the work in and wonder why they don't have any offers. You know, there's a thing going on with parents, Leland, in terms of the process with their kids. Seems like it starts around 8th grade or 9th grade. Kids starts to come up, parents getting involved. You got AAU organizations. You got scholarship offers going on. You might be playing at a private school or with the team that has access to a state championship run every year. What's been, your philosophy? How have you dealt with parents in terms of helping them through this process or getting them to understand what's about to happen?
I hate to say this, but my reference point and probably their reference point it always comes back to kids that I've worked with or, my son. It's shameful that I was going through this process and that a lot of people watch me go through the process and was a big, I don't want to go about that route. And now I see those people and they want me to do this, like this miracle job. You did it for Jazz, so you could do it with him. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to have the magic ingredient. And the magic ingredient is time.
Time.
It's time. That's the magic ingredient. Just recently, a kid that I trained, Wayne McKinney, went up against one of the best guards in the state of Oregon.
I was at that game. I think they played Grant High School.
Yeah.
So the guard had I guess a number of scholarship offers last year or allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he wasn't prepared. After the game, everybody was like, well, yeah, oh, that's okay. He'll get him back. And I made the statement. I said, well, what he needs, you guys are about 4 to 6 months behind. You know what I'm saying? You can't get it in 2 weeks.
Probably really longer than that, though. Really longer than that. At least a year when it comes to strength training.
I know what you're saying. I was being real. I was trying to, the inner dick in me was just kind of like, wanted to needle it a little bit. So I threw the 6 months out there knowing that it would be a year. Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why I could say that, I go, Leland has invited me out to some of Wayne's games. The kid is a sophomore point guard out here in the state of Oregon, good student already. What does he have? Like 3 or 4 scholarship offers from Division I AA schools and higher?
No, he's got 2 so far legitimate on the table.
So he has 2 legitimately. Like I said, again, a sophomore, arguably the best point guard in the state. More importantly, he's thinking about how he can get better. And when you go see him at a game, he steps on the court and he's physically superior to everybody else. And I know that comes from his discipline with his coach Leland, staying in the weight room, working on the strength training.
Right. That's true. You know what? I want to talk about something else that me and you was talking about the other day.
What was that?
The power of not only being a strength coach, but also being a skills coach. Someone that could teach a skill, can teach a skill set of a certain sport.
That's right.
And I think we had talked about this a long time ago, and I told you, not knowingly, I had positioned myself in both genres. I positioned myself where I had to use both genres in order to get what I want.
Y'all hear Leland? Both genres. He done got on here using fancy words. Okay. I don't want to digress.
but it just, the process I took, it was a common sense type of process. And, when I would get into skill training, I would wonder why I couldn't get why things didn't look a certain way, or why why when this kid does it, he don't look like this kid. And all it took was, and understand, I'm taking myself back to the beginning when I started doing this with Jazz. This is not the Leland I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the beginner Leland. And when I started doing this, common sense was a big part of my credo. It was a big part of what I used whenever I came up with an obstacle I had to get over. I just used common sense. So I would look at a kid and I'd say, okay, I want you to do a ball fake jab step. I want you to do a ball fake jab step, and then I want you to get off. All right. So I would watch kids, and some of them genetically, I would go, okay, he got it. And then others, you would say, no, it don't look right. in the past, I've watched trainers look at that and use that as a barometer to say, well, this kid is more talented than that kid. Not saying to themselves, well, the reason why this kid is more talented than that kid because he's more developed in this area than that kid.
Right.
So a long time ago, that's what got me into sports fitness. That's what got me into physically developing an athlete.
Yeah, physical culture, strength training, sports performance training.
Sports performance training.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Before it was a term.
Yeah.
A heavy term in the media.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. So it was almost like using common sense, I've accidentally fell upon some shit. But that common sense going that route, I ain't gonna lie, it's a slow, tedious route. But if you learn to love it, you learn so much from that process.
It's funny you mentioned it's a slow, tedious process because I don't even want to jump the gun, but you already did, and that's part of it. You know, and when we get to the conclusion, you have to deal with the slowness of it. You have to be down to deal with the tediousness of it. It's going to get boring.
Gotta love boredom.
You have to.
You gotta love boredom. So, because I ain't gonna sit here a lot, man. Me and Jazz went through a lot of days. There were many days when I think back on it that, in someone else's eyes, like, you spent time sitting up there and doing that for a whole 3 weeks? Damn. But I guess because of our relationship, and we always had our eyes on the future, it got us through those tedious moments.
Right. And one thing, I've walked in the gym on y'all on several occasions. You might have a kid dribbling with his left hand for 30 to 40 minutes. Now, that's the same. I know y'all are going to do some other activities, but something that needs work, we're going to spend more time with that. Although we will have a few other activities, and it's just the same, with a kid in the gym. If they can't rack the bar, even with light weight, I'm not going to have them do a front squat, but I will have them do just some power, just some shrugs to the rack position.
Right.
Rack delivery. It's called rack delivery. We'll just work on that. And then once they get comfortable getting the arms up where they're parallel to the floor, then we might do a rack delivery plus a front squat. But I will spend 30 to 40 minutes doing that. But then I'll integrate some jumps. I'll integrate, some multi-directional movements. So you have to spend time. There's going to be something that's boring that you're going to have to overcome. It's going to be something small that affects you in a large way. And you just have to be down to do it. And that part, what we're discussing here that is called respecting the process without complaining, without crying, without bitching, without moaning. Just do the work. The Sports Mastery Workbook was created for the student athlete and the parent to work through together. The Sports Mastery Workbook was created for the student athlete and the coach to work through together. It was created in a sense and in a way to bridge the gap in communication between these parties and build a successful relationship dynamic. To learn more, visit sportsmastery.com/workbook or check out the show notes page and click on the link. And now, back to the show.
There's a term that we use in the fitness world, and I think we're going to get away from using it because it's really not a true term. Muscle memory. We use that term, muscle memory, and what you find out with a lot of your leading a lot of the guys that are your leading guys in this field, they're saying that the term muscle memory, there's no such thing as muscle memory. Right. And then I understand that. But what I do is I use this because this was the formula say 3 to 4 years ago that they were going by. Muscle memory. And they ask you how many repetitions does it take in order for muscle memory to kick in? Now, because of FMS training and understanding the fundamentals of that type of training, it's really patterns that you're learning. You're learning certain patterns. And in order for your body to understand that certain pattern and execute it in the right way, they're saying you have to probably perform anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 repetitions of that specific pattern in order for your body to say, okay, that's real easy. Oh, okay, I got what you want me to do. Okay, that's cool. Oh, I got it. I got it. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I got you, because basically what it's saying, you got to do the pattern, but the pattern has to be done efficiently. It has to be done
And
right.
correctly.
Yes,
Right.
or otherwise you have to unlearn a bad pattern or habit.
Thank you.
And then retrain it.
It takes 2 times, and I tell my kids this right after that. I say, if you continue to do this thing the wrong way, just think, if it's going to take you 5,000 repetitions in order to understand it, not get it and perfect it, understand it. Understand what body pattern or what movement I'm performing at that time. Just understanding.
Yeah, and on a deeper level, Lee, you mean really like feeling it, where you where the brain understands it. The brain has the memory, on where your body position is going to be and how you're going to feel while you're doing the movement. So you have to be consciously aware of that, how you feel, what's good, what's wrong.
Now guess what? If I do 5,000 repetitions and I'm doing 5,000 fucked up repetitions, guess what? It's going to take me at least 10,000.
Now, hold on. And on top of that, that's why it's even more important to have a coach with a competent eye around you at all times, so you don't develop bad habits. Once you get good habits, you do have to spend some time alone. Let's not get that twisted.
No, don't get it twisted. I agree with you. But what I see parents doing now, it's another side to this thing now, man. It's like you got the parent with the old ideology. Here, I'll get you a membership. You just need to go up to the gym and get some work in. And when you tell a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid that, do you really think he's going to go in the gym and execute things in the proper manner? You know what I'm saying? It's like
not with the intensity that he or she would with like 10 or 12 other 15 or 16-year-old kids around them.
Right.
That's a fact.
Right.
They're just you're just not going to push yourself like you normally would with the group.
True. That's true. And I see a lot of that nowadays. I see a lot of parents that's going, okay, I'm gonna get you a membership to the gym, and they put it up on the kid to make, to go in the gym, have the knowledge to understand the human body in a way
now, Leland, right quick, why do you think they're doing that? Where do you think that phenomenon comes from?
Well, it's an old way of thinking, because when I was younger, that's what it was. It was like, okay, there's some weights, there's a track. You really want to do it? Then go do it. And that's the way, honestly, that's when I was younger, when I was in high school, that's the way a lot of coaches, trainers, that's the way they approach things. We're moving ahead now. And parents need to understand that your child needs assistance. Just like your child needs assistance in the classroom, your child needs assistance in the weight room.
Yeah, and it just begs the quote, or I just thought of this off the top of my head. Anybody in life or in the history of human beings that's done anything great has had a coach, a mentor, or a guide.
Yeah, I agree with you. You can't get there by yourself.
We're starting to get into the fourth quarter, and we got to get to it. 7-on-7 football. I tell you what, I'm a part of an organization that is about teaching the fundamentals. I'm a part of a 7-on-7 organization that is about teaching the fundamentals, making time for film study, making time for teaching, making time for doing walkthroughs. It's not about competition, although we love to compete. We're not scared to play anybody. We'll play anybody. And we're living in a culture where it's starting to rival AAU basketball, where you have people that they only want to play 7-on-7 football because they want to go to the Pylon tournament every year in Las Vegas. They're playing for this team because this team has the fancy sneaker deal. So they're playing for this team because the owner has a brother in the NFL. or maybe the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to knock any of that if the kids are getting a real subjective learning experience from doing 7-on-7. And it's like I had one gentleman said, if they're not doing strength training while they're doing 7-on-7, it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
Complete waste of time. So I wanted to talk about that when we talk about the process of high school football, the where 7-on-7 is, where it's going. I think it could be a good thing, and I think it could be a terrible thing.
Well, let me say this, bro. You guys have a major advantage. Okay? You guys, honestly, it's like running a 100-meter race, and you guys are starting the race at the 50-meter line, and everybody else is starting at the beginning.
You really feel that way?
You know why I say that?
Preach.
JD, right? JB, right?
Yeah.
Check this out, man. You and before you guys were skill set trainers or football coaches, you guys understood the human body. You have a complete advantage over everybody out there.
I won't dispute that.
Now this is the cold part of it. This is the cold part of it. All a parent has to do is do their research. And it's very easy to find out where my kids should be. It's really easy. Parents, I'm gonna say this to you right now. And I hate to say names, and I hate to point fingers. The E-Forces and all these guys out here, they're not doing what you guys are doing, Deshaun. You guys are actually developing athletes. You're teaching guys about their well-being. You're teaching guys that when this goes wrong with your body, this is the process you go through to get things right again. Comes back to the process.
Yeah, and then we're doing the physical side. And then,
yeah, you had a huge advantage. And then you mess around, you get a halfway good athlete, and you put him in that situation. Oh my God!
Oh, we got him. We got him coming.
Yeah,
it's funny. We're talking about respect the process because this is the first year of the team, and we're starting to get some good feedback.
And before the season was started, it sounded dismal. But your attitude didn't sound dismal. It was like, well, we're just gonna do what we got to do.
You damn right.
And when you brought that to the situation, guess what ended up happening? Oh, you get a few more, and they come in and inquire, and then all of a sudden, bow, that way of thinking that you had in the beginning of oh, I ain't still gonna stop. We still got to push this shit.
That's right.
Now your kids start to feel it. You know what they say when they say the coach, his attitude, the kids start to exemplify what type of attitude your coach has. Well, that's what's going on right now. Your kids don't even know.
You're right. I mean, we had practices with 4 kids. I mean, we knew more kids were coming, but it's like if you look at that a certain way, a person from the outside or a new coach, they're not going to want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Because it's like you said, Leland. No matter what, I tell my kids, you have to be a leader at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Same with our organization. We're going to lead if it's 21 kids there. We're going to lead if it's 4 kids there. And that's the energy that we take to it, you know. And our thing is all relationship based. It's all relationships and loyalty. That's why certain kids that we have.
Yeah, for me and you concerned, that's our biggest. That's the biggest linchpin. And some people go, oh, loyalty? Okay. Okay, I'll include that into my... Again, it's a process. You know what I'm saying? It's a learned process. And to be loyal to somebody, you have to nobody wants to think of this. When you're loyal to somebody, guess what ends up happening in your venture to be loyal to somebody? You're going to get fucked over. You're going to get fucked over. Or something is not going to go your way.
That's right.
But loyalty is this. If it don't go my way, I'm going to still stick with what I'm doing. Because I believe in what I'm doing. And if that person is loyal, and if time permits it, you'll come back around. That person will come back around, and you'll start a whole new different relationship.
Yeah, and that's what's happening right now with our athletes that have been loyal since day one. That's been training with Coach JB. Our 7-on-7 team is Pro Baller Fitness, Pro Baller 7-on-7, Pro Baller 7v7. JB Barnes is the head coach. He's the defensive coordinator. I'm the assistant coach. I'm the offensive coordinator. The beautiful thing about us, we have two different training businesses, and that's not a problem. Where half the kids train with him, half the kids train with me based on where they live, because we live on opposite ends of the city of Portland. And it's beautiful, and there never has been an issue.
And it shouldn't be. If you guys want to work together and help each other, it shouldn't be.
But it's like you said, Lee, we've been loyal before, and we've tried to do some co-marketing with other people, and it's turned out horribly wrong. It's not to say you give up. You just keep, cranking along till you meet the right person or the right people.
And loyalty goes both ways.
Oh man. and on top of that, Leland, it's like, it's really the parents and the athletes, where I'm not paying for this team just because they're going to give me 3 or 4 pairs of Air Jordans. I'm not going to play for this team just because we're going to go to a few Blazer games. They see through it, and they see, they want them in a good environment, a sound strength and conditioning curriculum. You're getting a physical training, you're getting a skills training, and then we have the sports mastery program that we integrate into our film sessions on Sundays or Saturdays.
It's the cart before the horse. It's the cart before the horse. You got kids that are willing to accept Jordans. They're willing to accept whatever different little presents that they're going to get from whatever entity that they're involved in. And they rather have that than someone coming up to them saying, "Hey, what? You want to do some strength training?
Some real work.
I can make you faster, and I can make you stronger, and I can make you more powerful. I'll take the shoes." Kid not knowing that, dude, if this dude make you stronger, faster, and powerful, it don't matter what shoes you got on.
Wow.
You understand? In Africa, dude, there's a tribe of people that are saying, "Hey, you run better without shoes." You know that Nike right now is in the lab trying to engineer a shoe that you can have the feeling of feeling barefooted when you're running. They're still trying to figure that out. So all these little nuances, all these things that you may think you need, you don't need them. They're just decorations. They're not really helping you with your problem, with your issue.
Decorations.
It's decorations. You look really good while you're out there playing.
Oh, they do too.
The dude that's out there with the beat up Nikes or the beat up Adidas cleats or the beat up Under Armour cleats.
That's the one I want.
Yeah. That's the one I want, because you know what? On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, he's on the field by himself working on footwork.
Yeah, that's the one I want. I want all of the so-called rejects. I want all the kids that's been cut. I want all the kids that's been overlooked, undervalued. Send me them. Those are the ones I like to work with, because they like to come in and work, and they have a vengeance, and they come in and use that pissed off energy in a good way. And the next thing you know, you'll hear about them in 16 or 24 months on somebody's list. Sports parents, if you're looking for a program to help develop your student athlete, check out my course, The Edge, showing and helping the student athlete how to take effective action, developing discipline, showing them how to develop a growth mindset and expand their mind in the form of reflective thinking. This is the place you want to be. This is course. I want you to work through this course with your student athlete. It's not for them to go at it alone. This is a gap. This is a way to bridge the gap between the student athlete and sports parent, and the student athlete and the coach. Check out my course, The Edge, at sportsmastery.thinkific.com. I'll also have a link in the show notes.